there's only one way to tell this story, and that was on video. So we're gonna rewind a little bit back. We're prepping the Can-Am X3, our orange X3 XRC, for the Baja. We're going with off the grid, and we were going to run from Tecate all the way down to Cabo for 9 days, like 1,800 miles. I wanted to take a bunch of videos of the car, getting ready. We kind of had some issues, with the car before it was ready to go, and mainly this is the only thing we use the car for, is these big Baja runs, and that's mostly where all the miles come from on it. So anyways, we were looking forward to this trip for a whole year now. And we get the car all dialed in finally. Everything's good to go. And we got to get the car to California. And I'm like, I really don't want to ship the car to California. I'd rather just fly. And I don't want to drive back. It's like 2 days, 1,500-mile trip for us just to do that. And who wants to do that after a long vacation anyways? So we're going to ship the car. We've shipped it multiple times. There, back. It's no big deal. We use UShip a lot. Shipley, all these websites to get bids on shipping stuff, and we knew about what it would cost to ship this car. So I UShip, and we punch in that we need this car to go to California, and a guy hits us up, and he wasn't the cheapest, but he seemed like he was persistent, good communication, following up with like, hey, you want to do this or not? I'm like, oh, this guy's got good communication, we'll use him. He's not the most expensive by any means, he's definitely not the cheapest, and his pricing is kind of right on par. And he assured us that he could have the car there early. We leave the 8th of June, and he could have it there the 4th, which is what I requested, or before the 4th. I'm like, perfect. I don't want any stress into this car not arriving, because obviously this is a big trip. So he assures us everything is good. Email moves to text, so on and so forth. And he's like, we can pick the car up today. I'm like, dang, that's kind of fast. He's got a driver here, or maybe he's having it transported down to wherever he's at. And it's not uncommon. We ship the car multiple times, other cars multiple times, and other vehicles multiple times using these shipping places. So I kind of know how car transport stuff works. It's not uncommon for them to kind of go out of their way and then to their destination. For example, this guy was going to have the car brought from us in Omaha, Nebraska. It was going to go down to Georgia, and then from Georgia over to California. I'm like, it's kind of out of his way, but I guess if he's got a big shipment going to California, whatever, not my business. As long as the car gets there, it's safe, everything's good. So, transport company shows up that same day, kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, oh shit, he was really serious about getting this thing ready. We throw all of our stuff in it, all of our tools, spare parts, our intercoms, our helmets, all of our air pumper helmets. The car is loaded down, spare parts, tool bag. A lot of really expensive stuff in this car, outside of the car itself being very expensive. And it goes to Georgia. And I thought it was kind of weird that it was going to Georgia, but everything checked out. The guy had really good reviews online. A cell phone number. The cell phone number checked out to Georgia. The email was consistent with the business name. And all was well. So this morning, this is the 25th, 24th, 25th back there, Aaron. 25th. Today's the 25th, so 2 days later, I get a call at 7 in the morning, and this is the Georgia guy. He's not the guy who actually picked it up. So you have a tow truck driver. It was actually how they got it there was literally at the tow truck to Georgia, and a flatbed style tow truck. And they told me that hey, we're taking this down there. We're gonna pick up some other vehicles to go down there with, and then we got vehicles coming back. So it's kind of like doing a mini hot shot operation. Whatever, it ain't my business. I don't care what you do. As long as the car gets there and then gets to California on time, I really don't care what happens. As long as nothing happens. So this morning I get a call at 7 a.m. and I really didn't sleep good that night, last night, anyways. And this guy in Georgia, who's the shipping company per se, not the driver who took it to Georgia, he's like, "Hey, we have a problem," and I'm like, okay, what's the problem thing? And it was like a delay. I'm like, no, we kind of had it scheduled there to get early in case it was delays, like these shipping companies like to pull on us. And the car got stolen. And I'm like, that ain't good for you, bud. That's real bad. And he's like, oh, I've got insurance for this kind of situation. It's not a big deal. We want to find the car. Is there any way that maybe the car has a tracking device on it? And now I'm like, it does. I'm like half asleep, like now I'm out of my bed, like panicking. Everything is going through my head. How much gear and tools and the car costs in general. I mean, these cars are not cheap, and they're not cheap to build to the level that this one's built at. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I have all this money invested in this, trip to go down the Baja. Just so many things going through my head. And I'm like, what do you mean the car's missing? Like, I'm pissed, at this point. I'm like, you need to fill me in real quick on what's going on. And I literally said, you need to fill me in real quick because I am putting my clothes on and I'm coming to Georgia. And I literally was like fucking half cocked, ready to rock. I'm going to Georgia today. And I'm recovering this car myself. And let me tell you how I was going to do that. The car has a GPS tracking device on it. So back to this conversation with this guy, he asked, does it have a tracking device? And in my days, I say, yeah, it's got a tracking device. It's last seen near this address in Georgia. And he goes, Georgia? Oh, this one was stolen from Arizona. You have the blue Razor, right? And I was like, no, I have the orange Can-Am. And he's kind of somewhat believably frantic and says, oh, I got the wrong car then. Yours is fine. If it's in Georgia, that's where it needs to be. And I'm like, weird. A weird conversation. I'm like, whew. Weight off my shoulders there. And I hop in the shower and kind of chuckle it off like, God damn, it's just my luck. Like, what a weird situation. And get out of the shower, check my phone real quick. I got like 4 missed calls. One from this Georgia guy, 2 from this phone number that I assume is the company that was, or the guy who was transporting it down to Georgia, which is a separate company. And another phone call from another number that I assume is the tow truck driver's personal number. And call it back, and I'm like, what's up? And he's like, we got a problem, man. I feel real bad. This, long story short, your car ain't making it to the Baja. And I was like, let me assure you of something. My car is making it to the Baja, land, sea, however. That car will be in California before or on the 4th. I guarantee that. I will go to Georgia. I will find that car myself. And I said it just like that, and I meant it. And I tell him, I talked to the guy in Georgia. He said it was the blue Razor that was stolen. He goes, no, man, that guy's a scammer. He's scamming you. He's scamming all of us. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, I dropped the car off, and I was supposed to pick up 2 more cars for him and take them to Kansas City. I dropped your car off and went to go pick up these other cars and told him to pay me. And he never did. I went back, or maybe he said something along the lines of maybe he went back to look for the X3 and it wasn't there. And so he reports it stolen. But now there's an active police report for my vehicle that's stolen. And I'm like, well, it's got a GPS tracker on it. It's at this address. You need to start heading there right effing now. Turn where you're doing right now and start heading to that address. And he's like, all right, yeah. So I'm 30 minutes away. So I'm sitting there just sweating bullets for 30 minutes because now the car is back stolen, And I can't get a hold of this guy in Georgia, this shipping company in Georgia. Phone's like off. And I'm like, hey, I text him because we've been texting. I'm like, hey, you need to call me. And he's like, I'll call you in a minute. I'm dealing with a stolen blue Razor. And I'm like, no, dude, that's my X3 that's stolen. And he goes, no, yours is where it needs to be. And I said, where is it? He said, Decatur, Georgia. I said, where at in Decatur? And he never responded back. And I get a phone call now from this tow truck driver who transported it to Georgia. And he says, hey, I talked to the cops, updated them, said it's got a tracking device, and I'm headed to that location. And they said, don't do that. It doesn't sound safe. And they needed the VIN number and my name and all this information before a cop would go there. And I'm like, no. You go there and you get that machine back. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, you are kind of to blame for leaving this machine in a random parking lot, because that's kind of what happened. I hate to put the blame on this tow truck driver. I'm sure he'll see this video, but it's kind of just like, why did you just leave it? You weren't even paid for your job yet. Like, but there was, he was supposed to pick up these other cars, and he's going to get paid when he got the cars picked up. So I kind of see where he's coming from, but they left it, like, as far as I know, in a random parking lot, like a Subway, I was told. They just unloads it into a parking stall with all of our tools and gear attached on the car. And I'm just like, why would you think that that's okay? There was no one there to, like, give the key to? He's like, I've got the key. I'm like, why do you have the key? Like, if you have the key, you should have the car. You know what? He said he was going to get paid when he picked up these other 2 cars, and apparently he was going to return the key back to the X3, and he was paid, and he'd been square at that point. And then from there, it's been Georgia to California guy's problem. And of course, it didn't make it that far. So he's like, well, I'm 2 blocks away from the X3. I'm like, screw the cops. Go box that machine in. If you pull up and that car is anywhere in sight, you box it in. Box that X3 in. And I'm like, do not let it get out of your way. And this he's kind of feels like he's been ripped off by this company now too. And he's kind of, PO'd and a little mad. And he's like, they ain't doing shit, I'm fucking taking this X3 back. And he kind of made a comment that, he was half cocked ready to rock too. He was packing some heat. And he pulls up, cop pulls in behind him. They've got the X3.
I found it.
You got it?
I just pulled up to it. The cop's pulling in behind me.
All right. Keep me updated.
It's sitting in the driveway. I'm going to get it loaded up.
Perfect. That works. You have my VIN and everything, so tell the cops to call me if they have any questions.
Right. Yeah, I sent the VIN and your birthday over. We're about to get everything handled.
All right. Just call me once you have it strapped on the trailer and the cops are taken care of.
Will do.
All right. So, literally, the X3 has been recovered. Thankfully, we had a tracking device on the machine. Like, we're like, where did this go wrong, So, just to reiterate, the car was stolen. He left it at like a Subway. It was removed from the Subway while he wasn't there and taken, and we think either delivered to this house or dropped off at this house, because the Georgia guy calls and says, do they have a tracking device? I say, yeah. We think they're like, well, screw this thing. Boom, they kick it off the back of the truck. They're like, see ya. We don't want nothing to do with the machine with the tracking device on it that's now reported stolen. This is Jason.
Hey, Jason, what's going on?
So, I don't know what's going on, but Eli's Towing is who brought it there. They called me after you called me and said that it was stolen. And, hold on one sec. Hello?
62.
Hello?
That's 25.
Hey, how you doing today? This is Officer Arnold with Dover Police Department.
Hey, how's it going?
This is Jake.
This-
So, your tow truck driver has this vehicle.
Yeah.
But yeah, luckily you had that tracker, man. Cause
Yeah.
He got manhandled.
Yeah, he did. This is a mess. So
I'm like, dude, why would you drop it? Just take it to where he said he got your money at.
Yeah.
You still have it on your truck.
I don't even know the whole story there yet. So I'm like,
Well, he told me that he got here. He got a phone call from, he was guessing that it was you, and the guy gave him a name of something Pike, Robert Pike, stating that, hey, go ahead and drop the Can-Am right there at that Subway. We have 2 more that you need to pick up, and when you get to that location, I'll have your money.
why would he leave it at a Subway? I whatever. Yeah.
So he dropped it. Took the keys with him, went to the location. It was a bogus location, obviously.
Yeah.
And when he gets back, that Can-Am is gone.
Oh, Jesus. The crazy thing is that the Georgia number called me with a story. They're like, it was a different machine that was stolen, but I didn't know it. And they go, does it have a tracker on it? And I'm like, yeah. So they knew that orange Can-Am had a GPS tracker.
So I think they just dropped it there.
I guess.
I think they were like, hey, this thing got a GPS on it. Let's just drop it right
Yeah, let's get out of this thing. Yep.
and get out of here.
Yep. That's that. So I'm just like mind blown. What the hell just happened? My car's in Georgia. It needs to be in California by the 4th. Today's the 25th or 20, whatever, 26th, 25th, whatever it is. It's crunch time, That car needs to be in California. So I'm like turning gears in my head. Like, all right, well, I got family in this state. I got buddy in this state. I got buddy that's going with us to run this Baja. He's coming from Pennsylvania. Maybe he can snag it up somewhere. And maybe I can just pay this towing company to just take the car all the way to California for me. And we still haven't heard back from anybody about, to this moment, all we know is the car is on its way back to Nebraska. And it's in safe hands, thankfully. God dang. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how I'm so diligent about, like, kind of checking up on, like, making sure people are legit. And how did I get scammed? Like, we see scams and we deal with fraud stuff on our store all the time. And I was like, how in the heck? So I jumped back on UShip, and this dude today, the 25th, has all these like 10 negative reviews of like, this dude stole my car. My car is stolen. It's reported stolen. He couldn't ship stuff. It was too good to be true. My thing's missing. This container's missing. And we're all just like, what the F? This dude just went like on a fucking binging theft spree, started having all these machines and cars, like old Mustangs, shipping containers, trailers, you name another. I seen a guy with a Can-Am Defender on there. We're all just getting delivered to Decatur, Georgia. And he was like, it got stolen. I don't know what to tell you, man. It got stolen, So there's crazy amount of machines that are stolen. They say they contacted the shipping company and they said it wasn't them, and they had been hacked or someone stole their identity or password on there. But yeah, this guy was legit calling. We were in communication all the way up until like a half hour ago, and it was just nuts. We talked to the Decatur police about it. Yeah, nuts. So you see a little Facebook post about how our Can-Am was stolen and recovered in less than probably 6 hours. I mean, this is kind of the story that wraps it up. So yeah, just to break it down, it went from Nebraska with a towing company down to Georgia, and they drop it off kind of in a reckless manner, just left it somewhere. Not really smart in my opinion. And yeah, it gets stolen or something happens, it gets moved, they recover it at a house in Georgia. And yeah, as far as we know, nothing even happened to the house. Like, the cops were kind of just like thankful it was recovered, and we don't know what they did with the house deal, or if they even knocked on the door. The tow truck driver and cops were just kind of mounted up, and they said they were all a little bit sketched out. They were parked in a way to defend and crossfire in case things got sour real quick. They loaded the X3 up, and it's headed back. So now we're frantic to get the car to California. And as far as we know, the machine's on its way back to Nebraska. It was stolen. It was recovered thanks to a GPS tracking device, and it was actually just an Apple AirTag. That's what an Apple AirTag saved it. Without that Apple AirTag, we wouldn't have recovered the vehicle 100%. I know we wouldn't have. So we filmed what you have originally just watched there, like real early in the morning, and then now it's like 5 p.m. here, and the X3 is on its way back, thank God. And we've kind of like gotten more out of the story and talked to other people and the cops and what was all involved. And I guess that this is like a new common like UShip loophole. We had seen it on a couple Facebook posts, and everything checked out on this guy. So pretty much what happened is like he hits us up on his UShip account. He's like 100%, 7 years in business, like fucking 10 out of 10 stars. This guy's straight shooter, right? And he had apparently hacked this UShip account, like made a fake phone number, fake email address, and was like acting as them, like literally just identity theft at that point. And he did whatever he did to get the car to Georgia, but the company that was taking my car to Georgia, shipper number one, who's innocent, they had to pick up another razor for him in Kansas City, and this fucking idiot sends him a screenshot, and he's like, here's the info. But in that screenshot, he like gave this driver the info of the actual owner, and he thought he was just delivering to the actual owner. So he drives this car, this razor, with my X3 to the actual owner, when in reality he was supposed to be driving it to Georgia as well. So this guy with this razor literally just dodged a bullet by not having his razor stolen as well, and I fell victim to it. But so there's a lot of people on Facebook, they're like, how do you always have everything stolen? How do you have the worst luck? And I think that it kind of boils down to is that I'm more vocal about all of our bad luck. Like when someone steals from our shop, I make it a huge deal and like a bunch of people see it. But if you steal from Kmart's not on Facebook trolling people, so we are. So it kind of makes it look like we maybe have more going on than it actually is. Like I don't think we've ever had like a machine stolen from us. Maybe once. It was a weird story, but yeah, maybe one other time. It wasn't my machine. Anyways, I never had like a side-by-side stolen, and really these Apple AirTags were just like a spur-of-the-moment thing. Our big race trailer, there's so many valuable things that we have floating around all the time, our pack outs in our trucks, And so we have them in there, and might as well put one on the side by sides too, you know. And it wasn't even because it was being shipped; it was just in general. And yeah, so that's how it was. So I think I do have bad luck, and that is probably true. A lot of stuff does happen to maybe not me per se, but to us as a whole. Because you know, I say it's my X3, really it's RPM's X3. You know, I just the face of the X3, and you know, I get to go enjoy it. So yeah, I know someone made a comment about insurance, and the machine is, you know, very overinsured, but at the same time, it's severely underinsured because these insurance companies don't want to value these machines at, you know, nearly what they're actually worth. Like if we had to rebuild that X3, like a rough number out there, it'd be like 75,000. It's insured for much less than that, so it wasn't like we were going to get ahead on insurance or anything like that. So there was that. But furthermore, this idiot who tried to steal it, shipper number 2, I kind of like lost communication after the cops called me. So the cops in Alabama are calling me, like they're in front of the machine, and I'm like, hey, I need to take this call, you know, and this dude's still like in communication with me. And after that, I tried to call him back, but I tried to call him back like 10 times. He didn't answer, and it's because he knew that the machine had been recovered, because tow truck driver number 1 or transport driver number 1 had said, you know, we got the machine, you know, F you. And so he knew his plan was kind of default at that point. So at this point, I'm like, screw it. At the end of the day, I'm like, screw this guy. Let's start fucking with him, you know. So I started telling him, like, you're a thief, you know, like you're gonna go to prison. You're gonna get nailed in the plinker, like just trolling him, right, just laying the beans to him. And he calls me, and at first I'm like, it's a spoofed number, like I'm texting some random number, and they don't even know what's going on, because he called back acting like, what are you saying all this shit for? I'm like, what?
Talk that bullshit, Jason. Why are you sending me text?
What? You tried to fucking steal an X3.
What?
You tried to steal the X3.
What's the X3?
He's got this number spoofed. What's your name? No, it's got to be him. The Blue Razor?
Yeah.
The Blue Razor? Yeah, it's him.
Dumbass little bitch.
Dumbass little bitch. It's gotta suck to be so broke you gotta steal from people.
I know that's right.
Yeah, dude, I feel really, but that fucking AirPod, man, that fucked you over, huh? Whose house was it sitting at?
AirPod.
AirTag? You tried to steal my X3. What do you mean? So then he ended up hanging up. We were all kind of confused as to why he was confused about why I hated him so much. And yeah, so I think we've lost it. I do want to give everybody in the world his phone number, because I do believe it's probably a burner phone, but it's still active as like, you know, here like an hour ago. So I think it'll be active tomorrow, but it's 404-754-6576. And I forget his name, but if you're getting ready to fall victim to this same scam, I guess the car was recovered in Decatur, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta. And yeah, the U-Ship account checked out clear to this. And then, like I said earlier, we rechecked it, and there's literally like 13 negative reviews, and it's all the same stuff. Like, my car's missing, my shit got stolen, this dude stole my stuff, like literally 13 within 24 hours. And when I checked it, it was 100%. It was all good. This guy was a straight shooter. But, you know, scammers going to be scamming, you know, and there's, you know, these thieves are so tricky. And yeah, you gotta be diligent with them, and we try. I mean, we checked all the boxes, and like I was even talking to the driver number 1, and we were both like, man, I guess, you know, looking back on it, maybe there was red flags, but it's not like there was any hint of these are going to get stolen. You know, it was everything checked out good. So yeah, that's the update. That's the guy's phone number. Definitely feel free to call him or text him and let him know that he's a bad human being. And keep watching the YouTube videos, man. We're gonna be shooting some Baja stuff here in the next 2 weeks. We'll be down there. See you later.